Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm playing Racing Kings Chess, where kings race to the end of the board, and checks are not allowed. The goal is to be the first one to the 8th rank, and my goal is to win 5 games. Let's get started with game number 1. Alright, I guess we've started. I do apologize that the names are backwards. For whatever reason, when you play with the black pieces, it just puts your name on the opposite side of the board. I guess because it can't decide who goes where since we're both starting from the same side. Okay, my opponent's just going for it, and I guess I'll do the same. We're both cut off by bishops at some point, I believe. Or maybe not, actually. I might have to move my rook at some point to fully cut off my opponent's king. So I'll keep following my opponent's lead for now. Okay, the king moves forward. Let's play rook to g2 with the idea that the queen and the bishop cut off the king, and then the rook does the same as well. Okay, rook goes all the way down to the other side. I believe I can keep walking with my own king. Now I'm at least even with my opponent. And the biggest thing to remember is that check is not allowed. So obviously you can't walk into check, but your opponent also can't put you in check. A little bit of a weird format. Okay, queen comes out. I don't think either of us are really going to start making progress anytime soon. So I think we should just start taking some pieces. Let's take... Oh, I can't take this because it puts my opponent in check. Interesting. Let's play then. Let's just play knight to f6 and hit the queen. Hit the queen, hit the knight. We're offering a trade, which is totally fine. Okay, queen moves over to h5. I believe my opponent could probably win just by playing the rook here so that there's no more check. Oh wait, no, but then my opponent can't cross because of my bishop. Okay, so what do I need to do? I need to find a way to cut off this diagonal. Let's play this. Oh, and I've dropped a bishop without even noticing. Okay. All right, I've dropped a bishop. It should be the end of the world, though. Let's follow that up with knight to e4. And my idea is knight to g3, and then walk the king down, rook down, and then finish up the game. Right, because if I can put my knight on g3, the bishop doesn't reach that square anymore, and I can walk all the way down. Okay, rook here. If I play this now, my opponent could take. I would take back. And I think we're doing fine there, so let's play knight to g3. Okay, takes, I'll take back. Obviously threatening to go to the back rank. And then queen goes to the back rank. Gotcha. Okay, let's just play knight to f1. We've now cut off the queen, so I think we're good to make it to the back rank. There's 2 different ways we can get there, and I don't know if my opponent can cut off both of those squares at the same time. Right, my opponent can probably catch one, but both should be impossible. Okay, that's exactly what my opponent does, cuts off 1 square, and with that we win game number 1. All right, that was pretty straightforward. There's really no opening that I'm applying to this. I'm just moving my king all the way down. In fact, that's what my opponent did as well. And then you just have to have a little bit of finesse in terms of cutting off your opponent's king without cutting off your own king. All right, with that we win game number 1. Let's move on to game number 2. All right, game number 2, we get the black pieces again. Is this the same opponent? This might actually be the same opponent, but I can't tell. Okay, king to h3. I highly suspect this is the same opponent now. I will move my king forward as well, but this time I'm going to try to catch my opponent's king a little bit earlier in the process. Okay, my opponent has the same idea, cuts me off with the rook. I will mirror that specific move. Okay, I'll walk forward as well. King to h5, and I think this is where I want to start cutting off my opponent's king. If I play knight to f5, I guess my opponent could just take and then take back, and then there's only this bishop. But then there's also the queen, so maybe it's actually worth something. Yeah, let's play that. Let's play knight to f5 with the idea of cutting off the king with the bishop. Rook comes all the way down. I can't just take? Oh, I can't take because it puts the king in check. Okay, interesting. I can probably copy that strategy though, right? We're still cutting off the king. I guess my opponent could take the bishop. All right, we get knight to c, well, I'll call it knight to c5, cutting off the bishop, but I guess I can just take that though. Yeah, I can just take it, and then we're still cutting off the king, and now it's going to be a lot harder to remove this bishop. Okay, we get queen to a5, and even though you can't ever give check to the king, having more material is still advantageous because it gives you more ways to cut off the king. I don't think this does anything new, so I'm going to play rook here as well. Oh, it hits the... Oh my goodness. Why would I give up that material? Okay, clearly it drops the bishop. Maybe my opponent will take, and then I can play this. Maybe it's not so bad. Okay, opponent does in fact take the bishop. Let's walk the king forward, which actually protects this rook this way and this knight this way from both of those pieces, right? Because my opponent can't give check. I guess my opponent could take with the bishop, but then I have king here, which kind of forks these 2 squares. Okay, rook all the way back, full commit on trying to defend that back rank. I'm going to walk my king forward to g2, and the last thing I need to do is figure out how to actually get my king to the end of the board. Okay, bishop takes. let's take with the knight, with the idea of knight to f1 and then king to h1, which would win the game. Right, knight to f1. We'll see if there's any way for my opponent to actually defend this square. I don't believe that there is. Right, this square is a really interesting one because the only way to defend it is on the back rank or on a diagonal. A back rank you can always just block, and a diagonal is impossible because it would touch the king on the way. Okay, queen to e7, and with that, we win game number 2. Nice, that was a pretty easy game as well. I don't really have an opening, but so far, just pushing the king to the other side seems to be working, so let's move on to game number 3. All right, game number 3, we get the white pieces this time, nice. All right, we'll walk forward with the king, and we're playing a 1670, who immediately removes the bishop. I will take back, because I don't think it's worth losing material. Okay, bishop to whatever square that is, pinning the rook to the queen. I can't take this because it would give check, and I'm probably guaranteed losing this material. Well, no, knight here is just free as well. There's no tactics with check, because that doesn't exist. I could play the same thing back to my opponent and still keep my king 1 square ahead. I guess that's fair. Let's play that. And I guess my opponent can't even take this anyways because it would be check. Okay, king in fact moves forward, which does defend the rook. Let's play now. Knight here. We're hitting the bishop, we're hitting the knight. Should the knight take, we recapture with the bishop. The pin is still there. Okay, knight takes, we take back. Oh, but we've dropped this, but the queen is also hanging. If the rook moves anywhere, I might be able to just take the bishop. Okay, let's take the queen, sure. Remember, there's no discovered check, so it's not like we're going to be checked and then lose the queen. So wherever this rook moves, in fact, it should probably move here and defend the bishop, at which point I've just won a free queen. The alternative is that my opponent just moves out of the way. I take, okay, in fact, we get rook to e2. Let's play now. Our queen is under attack and our bishop is under attack. I don't think we can defend both. And the obvious choice here is to defend the queen somehow. Let's play queen to g1. Queen to g1, I assume my opponent will take, and then we'll just try to beat our opponent to the punch. Now that the position is kind of simplified a little bit. Oh, king to h5. My opponent's committing to this. I guess we'll just follow suit. Let's move the king forward. Sure, king ahead. Let's play king forward. Oh, I see what the issue is. My opponent's bishop's cut off my king. So if I try to keep pace with my opponent, I'll just get cut off right here. Okay, interesting. In that case, let's play rook to f6 to cut off the king. And somehow I'm going to have to get rid of one of these bishops. So like here, for example, what happens if I just, well, then I'd lose the knight. Okay, first things first, let's defend this rook. And let's do it with, if I do it with the queen, I lose the knight. Oh, wait, I can just take this. Oh, I spent way too much time overanalyzing that. Okay, we can just take that because it's defended by the queen and it doesn't actually give check. So that was just free. Okay, cool. And now we should have a very substantial advantage. Okay, bishop to e3. Okay, what happens if queen to f1? King takes, I take the rook, king moves down, and there's no way for me to stop the king from getting to the back rank. Okay, I don't like that I have to do this, but I'm going to sack the queen. I'm going to sack the queen, then move my rook to safety, probably hitting the bishop. And I need to get my king forward. I'm only 1 step behind my opponent, but it is my opponent's turn, so you could think of it almost like 2. Okay, rook does take, let's walk forward. Rook takes again, probably expecting me to take, but what if I just step ahead? Rook here, I step ahead again. Is it possible to stop me? Let's give it a try. We have 24 seconds left, so might as well send it. Okay, rook comes over this way. Okay, is the idea that if I play here, then there's just rook here? What about this? If the rook comes down, I just take it. So king to b2 should be completely winning. Nice, and we get the resignation. Sweet! With that, we win game number 3. Let's go ahead and move on to game number 4. Okay, game number 4. I get the white pieces again. I'll just push ahead. And I think it's worth noting that black can get a draw if white makes it to the end, but black makes it to the end on the very next turn as well. Okay, the black rook cuts off the king. Let's just play... Oh, wait, let's take this bishop. Nice, right? The rook is no longer defending the bishop. We're hitting the queen. We're hitting the other rook. To be fair, we're only actually hitting the queen, right? The rook is sort of defended by the king being on h7, but as soon as that king moves, I can take the rook. Okay, queen comes out. Let's play bishop to e5. Doubly defended by 2 different knights. Hits the queen again. Cuts off the rook, so maybe we can start walking forward. Okay, rook sacrifices. Pretty bold move. I assume I should take with this knight. Because that way this knight covers h6. This knight covers g6. And unless my opponent's willing to sacrifice, it's not clear how the king gets out from this little triangle of doom that the knights are creating. Okay, knight comes out, hits the rook. Let's just play rook here, hit the queen. My opponent's trying to do kind of the same thing, right? The queen covers h4, the knight covers g4, so there's no way for me to go through right now. Okay, queen comes down. Let's play rook to g4. And I know it loses the rook to the knight, but I need to get this knight off my back if I want to start making any progress. Okay, queen to f2. My opponent is quite stubborn. Sure, let's try rook to g3. Cut off the queen. If the queen moves back, maybe rook here. Ooh, okay, so we lose the bishop on f1. If I move forward, we could lose the rook as well. I would take back. My opponent would, I don't know, move here. I can still walk forward. You know what? Let's risk it. Let's risk it for the biscuit. We'll move king to h4. My opponent does in fact take the rook. I'll take back. And I'm willing to bet that with this little knight formation, I'm probably able to win this. Okay, bishop comes out trying to get rid of one of the knights. If I move my king forward now, I could lose the rook this way, but I can move my king this way instead. Right? My opponent can't take because it's check. My opponent can absolutely take this though. If I take, my opponent recaptures. Whoops, terrible arrows as usual. I move forward again. My opponent comes down. It's going to be, oh wait, my opponent can't go down because I just take. Okay, queen comes down instead. My opponent abandons the idea of the knight and moves queen down to f7 instead. I can just keep walking though, I believe. I'll walk this way now. And the idea is rook to g7, king forward, and then take. Or take the victory, I guess. We'll take, should we take back with the knight? Yeah, we have to take back with the knight. And I'm not even sure that our position is that amazing. The biggest thing here is that my king is so far ahead that it seems very unlikely that my opponent will be able to make a comeback here. So we do place the rook on that square to allow the king to walk through, and we are 2 squares away now. Rook doubles down on my rook, but it's not like my opponent can capture anyways, and we do get the resignation. Nice. All right, with that, we win game number 4. We have 1 game left to go. So far, we are 4 for 4. Perfect win streak. Let's go to move on to game number 5. All right, game number 5. We do get the black pieces. Oh, this is the same opponent, though. Okay, I won't count this one because this is the same opponent, and this is probably a new player, right? We see that 1484, and those are just the 16 rating points that I took off a moment ago. Okay, let's go for it. Yeah, I'm down for this. This is real Racing Kings, not all this funny business with the pieces. How fast is your king? How much has your king been training? That's what this is about. Let's play this, cut off the king, see if we can make a comeback. Okay, rook does the same thing, but the bishop looks in, so I play there as well. This is the Racing Kings that I signed up for, not all of that other funny business. Okay, see, this is the funny business I'm not interested in. I want my king to train like a track athlete. Okay, knight takes f7, back to reality. What do I play here? Let's play... I guess I have to move my queen. It's too valuable to lose outright. Or I can copy my opponent. Okay, let's do that. Let's take this bishop. Oh, wait a minute. My opponent's gotten rid of this bishop, which means my opponent can just step forward. Ooh, critical decision now. Does my opponent step? My opponent does step forward. Okay, I have to cover the back rank now. No choice. I have to cover the back rank. My opponent plays here. I guess my queen just covers that square, so maybe I can play this. It's so funny. Both of our queens are hanging, but we're so close to the end that it doesn't even really matter. Oh, queen to e4 gets the queen out of danger. Interesting. Now, what happens if I play rook here? My opponent could probably just take, and I can't take back because it would be check. I see. Okay, let's get our own queen out of danger and simultaneously hit the opponent's queen. Right, our opponent can't take our queen because we just take, or rather, can't take our queen because it puts us in check, so it's an illegal move. But we are hitting the opponent's queen. We can take that queen. Our opponent moves down, which cuts off the rook. Ooh. Ugly position. If I try to cut off my opponent this way, I lose this rook. I could just take. My opponent would take back. Bishop here. Rook back. Queen over just loses the queen. Wow, I might actually just have to. Well, if I play my queen back, then I just lose it. Oh, even worse. If I take the rook, my opponent would just take it with the king. I may have underestimated my opponent here. Okay, I really have no choice but to play this and try to cut off the opponent's king. Should my opponent take the rook, I think I can just take the queen. And then I'm still covering both of these squares. My opponent could sacrifice the rook, and then I probably have to play queen to e1. Okay, queen to e2. Interesting. So now the threat is definitely to take my rook. What if I play rook to g2? My opponent moves their rook out of the way. I can't even take the queen, so it's not like that does anything. Okay, let's play bishop here, centralize the bishop. My opponent takes, I take back. Okay, rook down cuts off the bishop. I don't know that I have a way to stop that. Wow, very well played by my opponent. I fell a tempo behind. Wow, I have 18 seconds to decide my fate. Yeah, I really don't see a way out of this. Let's start by taking. My opponent takes back, sure. And I think that's it. I don't think there's a way out of this. All right, GG's. I forfeit on time, but really there was no move there anyways. And with that, we actually lose game number 5. So I guess the prophecy has come true. We do in fact get another game. Let's move on to game number 6. All right. I like the little GM thing on my opponent's name. All right, we get king to h3. We'll play king to h6. And I wonder if knights here are actually worse than bishops. They probably are, right? Because bishops are long range. They can actually cut off opponents' pieces, whereas knights can't. So I assume these trades are favorable. I'll start by taking this bishop. If my opponent allows it and moves the king, I'll take the other bishop as well. Okay, my opponent copies my move. Let's play... let's just play rook to g5. We're now perfectly symmetrical again. And ideally, I'll be able to play like queen to f6. Okay, king to h4 allows me to take this bishop. My opponent can't copy my move because it ends up in check, so it's illegal. If my opponent pushes the king forward again, I'll just take, and I will take all of my opponent's pieces if they allow it. Okay, rook takes. I'll take back with my king, or I could take the queen. What happens if I take the queen? My opponent pushes forward, I take back. Oh yeah, I'm definitely taking the queen. Right, because this early in the game, it's probably worth grabbing all the pieces you can, since it'll come in handy when you get down to this kind of last critical zone. Right, you want as many pieces as possible holding down those positions. Okay, we'll take back here with the king. After my opponent takes, I might even just take the knight, threatening to take the other knight right behind it, and we should have more than enough pieces to stop our opponent. Okay, king comes forward. If I waste a tempo taking, bishop and queen cut off the king, so king here. If I take again, my opponent takes, I take back. King walks down, I play queen here, and it should be all over. So we'll go ahead and take the knight. Okay, rook takes, I'll take the other knight. Rook to a3, let's play our king forward, right? Because the rook actually plugs the only square for my opponent's king. We have the bishop, we have the queen covering these squares. The rook does the last job, so now this king has nowhere to move to. We'll move our own king forward. And really the idea here can be as simple as, you know, queen here, takes, and then I just use the rook to cover up the back rank. So let's play exactly that. Let's play queen to f6. Okay, king to a3. We'll play rook to d2 to cover up these last squares. Rook to d3. I can't actually take that because it would be check. Very interesting move. Let me play rook to b2. That way it's actually defended by the queen. My opponent plays here. I'll just take. Has to play back. Rook to c3. I still can't take it, and my opponent's threatening to take my own rook. How interesting. What about queen to b6? Covers the rook. And I don't think there's any tricks after that. Queen to b6. My opponent's doing a great job putting up a fight, definitely making it tricky for me. Okay, rook to e3. Now, I think I can just leave this here since it kind of creates a wall around the king, and I can just move my bishop to f3 to cross the king over. So let's play bishop to the center. We're looking for bishop to f3 and then just open sesame. All right, rook to d3. I'll move my bishop to f3. Oh, wait a minute. The bishop was covering these squares, so now the king is threatening to take the rook again. Okay, hold on. Hold on a second. Let's play queen here. Rook takes. Oh, and I can't even take back. Holy moly. Okay, wait a minute. If I play king here, we get king there. If I play queen down, we get rook there. If I play queen here, rook back, queen here, rook back. Uh-oh. Wow, I really overestimated my chances here. Let's play bishop back. Okay, rook to b4. I could play bishop to c4 and hang on for dear life, or I can play king forward. My opponent takes, I move my king forward again. Rook goes down to the end, and my bishop is just too slow. Okay, bishop c4 is necessary here. We're both down to under 30 seconds as well, although I'd argue my opponent has the harder task here. Okay, rook back to b2. We'll move our king forward. We're at least equal with our opponent now. And I guess the threat here could be queen to f2. Takes, king goes down, I move down. Oh, rook down definitely allows me to move forward again. And there's no check allowed. So now if I just play this, my opponent plays down, and I should be able to just win the game, right? Because there's that handicap for the draw, where if white makes it and black makes it on the next turn, then it's a draw, because white moves first. But in this specific scenario, we do win game number 5. Nice. I feel pretty good about that. I'll say that this feels like it has, or at least I personally have fewer strategies for this than I do the other variants. Right now, my strategy is move the king forward as long as there's no free material. If there is free material, try to grab it and then keep moving the king forward. But it seems to have worked. We did get a pretty decent rating climb. If you guys did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Let me know down below if you particularly enjoyed this variant or if there are any other variants you want me to try, and I will see you guys in the next one.